Hi, I'm Charlotte and this is the School of Pattern Cutting. In this video, I'm going to show you how to draft a beautiful Dior inspired tunnel sleeve. First of all, I'm going to show you on the body how it actually works and how I can draw in my design lines. And at its most basic, a tunnel sleeve is literally a piece of fabric folded over. So if I turn it around, you can see it's just one bit of fabric folded. And if you had made it in a really soft jersey, you could literally just basically cut a square of fabric, cut out your neck and put it on, stitch the sides up, and you've got a really loose, comfy top. But what a lot of designers do is they create a bit more shaping. So Dior has done it really cleverly. So I'm just going to draw you in the design lines to show you how he's created a bit of shaping. So on the spotty top, my fashion analysis, you can see a dart line, well, it's a seam dart, which runs from your neck all the way down to the side seam. So that way you got the big sleeve, but then you can actually create some shaping here and have this really fitted and then have an oversized sleeve. And the second thing he's done is create a dart which goes from your sort of raglan shaping seam into the waist, and then it actually continues further down and becomes the waist shaping dart for your pencil skirt. So next up, I'm actually going to show you how to draft your flat pattern for the sleeve, your shaping seam, and your shaping dart. The first thing you need to do is draw around your basic bodice front and leave lots of space to your side so you can put your sleeve in. Then what I'm actually going to do is move both my bust dart and my waist dart into the front so it's out of the way and I can draw all my lines on. So I'm going to draw a quick line to the center front. And then I'm going to cut into here, here and here and put it all together. So I left some white space so you can, with no hands. But even learning that, isn't it, that you...
Yeah.
Okay, so now I can glue this dart shut and this dart shut and move all volume into the center front. And that gives me lots of space to draw in my two design dart lines. Go. So now I can draw in my tunnel sleeve first, and that's sort of really up to you how long you want it to be. So I'm going to use an extension from my shoulder, and then as you can see, as you close the bust dart, it's actually smaller than it would have been before, but I'm going to roll with it, and then you would try out whether that sleeve is big enough for you. And if it isn't big enough for you, you can actually, you would put a line into here and open it up a bit so you get that space. But I think if you put it on, it's actually going to look right because you don't want it to go like straight out. You want it to slightly curve down. It looks more flattering. And then so I've extended my shoulder line and started at 90 degrees. At the cuff, and then I sort of curved it down, and now I'm going to extend my waistline because it actually goes all the way down to the waist, and I'm going to start at 90 degrees again. So I have drawn this in by eye, so it looks right to me roughly. But of course, once you put it on the trowel, it might look completely wrong. So you might say, oh, that's far too long here. I'm going to bring it down to here. So this is quite a big sleeve. You might want to make it half the size, but that's up to you. And on this back, you just literally copy it. So the back needs to have the same length here and the same length there. And then it will fit perfectly. And always remember 90 degree where you have a seam. So now I've drawn in my sleeve, I can draw in my 2 dart lines. So the first dart line goes from here to here, and we've got a second dart line there. And I'm going to draw it very quickly. If you want to have more in-depth information about darts, have a look at our free darts essential course. It's in the description below. So on the image, you can see that the dart line starts right the side seam and goes to your neckline. So I'm going to draw it in first. And again, that would be up to you. You might look at the image again and say, oh, what's the angle in comparison to a center front? And then change it a bit. So it's going to look like this. So it's nearly 45 degrees. So it's quite a strong angle, which is quite flattering. But you might want to make it subtler. And then he's got the second line, which goes like this. And his line is actually slightly lower. So what you can do is that we extend this dart a bit, and then we draw the line where we want it to be. And it's a bit sort of where you have to do a bit of trial and error. So as long as I stay relatively close to the bust dart, I can work parallel to it. And then I will just have a little bit more volume, but as it isn't super fitted, it doesn't matter as much. It's one of those things you have to experiment with over time to work out whether it works or not. So I'm going to draw it like that, so quite curved. So a little bit different than my original images, but I quite like the look of that. So what I'm now going to do is cut into my dart lines and cut everything out, and then show you how to put it together. I've cut everything out now. So now the first thing I'm going to do while everything is laying together is put in some notches. So I'm going to put a notch here and a notch here. And then this is my sleeve. And you have to decide on where you want your straight of grain to be. It all depends whether you want to fold it or you're going to have a seam. The moment I'm going to have a seam, because it's quite long, if you wanted to fold it, you would then have to properly change this angle a bit. So the straight of grain continues. So you then would have to open it up, create a bit of volume and make it slightly shorter. I think this is too long, it would collapse if it's unfold. So this is my sleeve finished. And now I just need to close my working dart on the center front. And also put some notches on my second dart line. So this is my second dart line, with notches. And again, I'm going to draw in my straight of grain. And this is just as I'm separating, I'm drawing in all the straight of grain to remind myself. Because once you're taking it apart, it's trickier. So this is all fine. So what I need to do now is close this and create my line. As you can see, as I'm opening it, I'm gaining some volume there. So the two options is, if it was a bodice block which isn't fitted, what you would do, you'd be a bit slightly naughty and you overlay it and lose a centimeter. But as this is quite a fitted bodice block, that's a bit tricky. So I'm going to do it the proper way. I'm going to close the start, put a little bit of paper behind it to repair it. And then I'm opening this and just putting a bit of volume in. And it just means my top isn't as fitted. But if you look on the Dior tunnel sleeve image, it isn't that fitted originally. It's more like very it's sort of smooth and straight rather than really fitted. So I'm going to get just a little paper, stick it down on one side. Then I'm going to redraw my curve here and match it to the other side. And these are a sort of little, not tips, but a sort of working knowledge and experience where you have to try out, because that's not following the rule book of how to make patterns, because you've moved your dart slightly to the side and you sort of think, oh, it's a bit dodgy, adding volume here. It's not really how it's supposed to be done, but you can sometimes play around a bit and changing slightly. So what I'm doing is I'm just checking it's all the same, and then I'm just moving it along, and then I'm matching it so it's exactly the same. You could also measure it. Probably best to measure it and match it. It's always best to do things about twice, and then I can see it matches perfectly. When all I need to do is redraw my line, it's still the same here, and it's just a slightly bit bigger on the other side. So this is my Dior tunnel sleeve top ready for its first trial, but whatever you decide to do, enjoy your drafting. If you have enjoyed this video and want to take your pattern cutting to the next level, please sign up to our free Darts Essential course. It has fantastic video tutorials and lots of diagrams. If you're interested, please click in the description below and sign up for free.